Yes,
Start? Okay.
it's on.
Yeah. So hello everyone. Welcome to IFMSA Updates webinar for August meeting 2019. We are IFMSA EB and we are going to share with you updates about the most important working areas during the past period. So you can come to the GA informed and knowing what is happening and as well able to ask questions in advance and be prepared so we can save time during the GA discussions. This webinar will tackle the main working areas within our organization under each working area of an EB member. We will go over various topics during this webinar, including members, social media, alumni, board of recommendation, external representation, restructuring IFMSA GAs, programs, secretariat, global priorities, capacity building, and alignment of strategies, and much more. During this webinar, you will get the chance as well to ask questions. And so if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat and we will be checking them at the end of the webinar. So please feel free to ask any question. And now we can start with the first thing with our Vice President for members. Just before starting, I forgot to mention that we have all EB members attending, so you will be listening to each EB member in their working areas. So now we will start with the Vice President for members, Fabrizio, and who will be speaking to you about members.
Okay, next slide, I guess. Okay, so for members, regarding updates, we have the NMO report. We have received a high rate of responses for the NMO report, and they were already shared with the relevant officials for them to work on that. Something that we're trying to actually do with the NMO report responses is to transform them in a specific outcome. So as you may have seen at the beginning of the term, we made a regional analysis together with the regional directors. We also plan to complement that with the information that we received after all the regional meetings and also the NMO report of August meeting to hand over this regional analysis document to the next term, regional directors and BPM. And yeah, it's the same with the standing committees, directors, and task forces, like the people who request information from these from the NMOs for the NMO report. For president sessions, we're also going to have a presentation with the main highlights for the from the NMO report to discuss with the NMO presidents. For recruitment of members for this GA, we have 10 candidate members and 6 upgrading members. From those 6, we have 1 applying for associate and 5 applying for full members. They were all the candidatures were submitted on time, and we have an extra report coming during the next week, which is related to the candidature of IFMSA South Africa, since we already have an NMO in this country. Per bylaws, we need to submit a specific analysis. So this has been working with the NMOs and the candidate in NMO and the current NMO, and also with the regional director for Africa. So this report is coming soon. Alongside with this recruitment submissions, we also had 2 reports that we sent with the regional directors. They are the report for candidate members and also the BPM report on members candidating, where the EB stances were there to accept, or recommendation were there to accept or not the members, are shared with the NMOs as well. For communication, something that have changed since the beginning of the term is after March meeting discussions, we created a WhatsApp group for NMO president, which is working efficiently, and we so far don't have any spam there yet, I guess. And for also, we changed something based on the discussions that we had in March meeting with NMO presidents, and also the things that you expressed in the NMO report, which is the input time that the officials gave to NMOs to provide inputs on the threats. We changed it from around 1 week to most of the time 2 weeks, which was requested. And for the strategy, in regards of members, we're finalizing the process of the model creation for finances and external representation, as we discussed in March meeting. Next slide. So Other than that, we also have the TO-NMO body system. We have, you know, how we change the system and we reform the system since the beginning of the term, and this is something that the EB elect have decided to keep for next term. So we will continue with the same system, and they will use the same way of selecting that we use for this term. This is something also to be discussed with the BPM elect. And then we're going through standardization processes, which is something we started at the beginning of the term, and it became more concrete throughout the term. We're doing an standardization process for regions, for IOGs and regional strategies, also helped by lead, especially the regional strategies by the RD for Europe. And this is going to be finalized and included in our regulations for August meeting. So also looking forward for the discussions around these topics in the regional sessions. For regional meetings, all of them were successfully finished, and now we are assigning EV contact persons for all of them. We're just waiting for the results of the APRM vote for the next host that will be taking place in August meeting. But other than that, the EB is following up on the current, on the regional meetings of this term, and also looking forward for the planning of the next term's regional meetings. Follow-up report and membership report is what I said before, and it was already shared with the NMOs. We also shared the tracking documents and GA preparation documents. We have shared yesterday the voting and membership tracking document with the NMOs, and today an extra document that was made by Jose with the GDPR documents that need to be corrected in order to be considered as valid for the GA. And the deadline for that is the second plenary of this August meeting. And last but not least, the president sessions, which we have shortly discussed during the previous webinar. But as you know, there are some reforms for this GA. We will have a new format for president sessions with a Q&A session by the end. We will have a session for capacity building of NMO presidents on organizational development, and we will have more open space for discussions. Actually, the voting for the selection of the open space for discussions is ongoing right now, and then we will also have one slot for open space for discussions on things that will come up during the GA itself to be selected during the GA. And that's it for my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabrizio, for being concrete. And we're going now with social media with our Vice President for Public Relations and Communications, Jose.
Hello, everyone. So regarding my work, I would like to start with social media. As you can see in the screen, the Facebook page has been increasing the followers. We have increased about 5,500 followers regarding Facebook. Next slide, please. Also regarding Facebook, you can see the highlights here that we have been increasing also the unique users, the ones that interact like once, and then the post reactions as well. You can pass as well to the next slide. So regarding Twitter, we can see a great increase of followers as well, almost 10,000, 9,000, I'd say. So it's a big achievement of this term of the past 4 months. It's since March meeting, so this is huge. And you can see there the different interactions according to the months. May was the highest point, the highlight of the Twitter activity because of the pre-WHA. And then the other months we have also activity due to our external meetings. Next, please. Regarding Instagram, we can see also a big increase of around 2,500 since March meeting. Also a huge increase in impressions, as you can see in the screen. Also in Insta stories, you can see also around 1,900 impressions. This is an average of the last 28 Insta stories, and we hope we can increase this number to improve outreach. Next. Regarding websites, it's been stable, as you can see in the graph. Regarding the returning visitors, in the circle down the down right, it's been similar to the past period, so nothing really changed regarding returning visitors, but regarding the duration of the time that people access our website, this has decreased. That means people don't spend that much time in our website, that can mean that they find easily what they look for, or they don't need any more information that they want. And that's it regarding website. Next, YouTube, you can see here as well that we have 13.1K views, and we increased around 478 subscribers since March meeting. Next. Also YouTube, just an overview. You can go back to this slide after the webinar to check more specifics about it. Regarding marketing strategy, this is one of my highlights of the term. We conducted the analysis just before March meeting and finalized after March meeting, and afterwards we went to develop the strategy and the summary of outcomes that were shared with you in the 1st of July deadline. And this is to be adopted by the General Assembly according to our strategy. The implementation phase has already started. We have created some social media templates already, and we have contacted Canva to get Canva for a nonprofit, which we got it successfully. So next term, and also this term, we will try to implement it already for TOs and ITs to use Canva with more extended resources. Next, please. Regarding GDPR, I sent an extensive email in the NMO server regarding all the documents we developed. You can see the explanation there, but basically we developed internal privacy policy, non-disclosure agreement, code of conduct for GDPR compliance, the DPA and SCC that you had to sign for the GA, and also the cookie policy. And also we keep the data collection registry to keep track of what we collect. And yeah, finally, we also have the GDPR implementation for NMOs, which is a toolkit that has been developing by the small working group and which will be released before the August meeting. Next. Online platforms is also another point of the strategy. I would like to also announce some of the platforms we have been developing. The donations page is the ifmsa.org/donate is already up and running. We will promote it widely so that people can know about it and can start donating and reach out to partners who wish to, and also alumni. The fundraising database, these two work done in collaboration with VPF. Also, the certificate page is concluded for now, and also the training Moodle. And also the alumni platform, which you can see the link there that you can check as well. And we also have other platforms in progress. So we are developing right now the trainer profiles platform, the IFMSA app with a small working group. So we are going to start contacting IT companies soon in regards to this. Also the website updates and reform, which will be done just in this period, just before the August meeting, but not all of them, because this also depends on the IT company. And finally, the activities database, which will be transferred to activities.ifmsa.org after the August meeting. And finally, some final remarks. CI change proposals will be sent to you in the beginning of the upcoming week. These were discussed with the VBPRC elect, so you might find just some small changes that we agreed on for the next term as well, so that we can already set up ground and strong basis for our visuals. We also developed the spread-it. We are going to have Nemo vote for this GA as well. We will have several accounts, one for each regional session and one for each standing committee session, so everyone will get to use Nemo vote this time. Regarding live streaming, we purchased the device to increase the quality of it. Regarding publications, you can see there that we are developing MSI as usual, and this time we are also developing Auscultate, which is a regional publication that Africa has collected and has worked on, that we are going to publish soon as well. And then the small working groups and the task force that you already know about. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. And now we move to the next part, which is IFMSA Alumni. And as we have discussed earlier in March meeting, that this year we have various goals that we had to work on in IFMSA Alumni area. As in the strategy, one of the main goals under the first pillar, which is Secretariat and Administration, is unlocking the benefits of engaging IFMSA alumni. And the goals of the first year of the strategy were not achieved. So this year we had to work on the first year's goals and the second year goals. And we achieved the first year goals by March meeting. And from March meeting until August meeting, we worked on the second year goals. The first year goals were determining what are the specific benefits for engaging IFMSA alumni for the alumni themselves and for IFMSA as well. And for that, we held various consultation processes with both NMOs and alumni members. So there has been two parallel consultation processes, one which was sent to NMOs, officials, program coordinators, and international team members. And the other one was sent to IFMSA alumni and past officials in order to evaluate what do they see the areas most appropriate for engaging alumni in IFMSA. And the results of these these consultations were shared during March meeting. And from March meeting until now, we used the data collected through the various consultation processes in members who have contributed to alumni throughout the past years. And we have came up with the alumni engagement framework, which is the goal for the second year as well, which is adopting an alumni engagement framework, which determines how IFMSA should exactly engage with alumni. This framework will be sent on the server tonight, and NMO presidents have the chance to check it and provide amendments to it from now until the 30th of July. We will be proposing a motion in the last plenary to adopt this framework, so it can be a guiding framework for the upcoming team of officials on how to engage the alumni. The framework was made of multiple areas, such as alumni communication, networking, events, and engagement, as well as how to implement it, how to monitor it, and evaluate it. You will be able to check it, and if you have any questions, feel free to approach me and to raise them on the thread on the server or the Google document itself. When it comes to IFMSA Board of Recommendation, we have managed to add new members who will be presented in August meeting 2019 during the update. But the ones who are we sure and we got a full confirmation that they would like to be part of Board of Recommendations is Dr. Stefan Peterson, who is also an IFMSA alumni, who's the current Chief Health of Medicine the Chief of Health in UNICEF. And as well, Dr. Akito Watapi, who is part of UHC 2030 core team and who is as well a previous IFMSA alumni. And the reason we selected these two members is because of their support and engagement with IFMSA externally and internally throughout the past years and their ability to contribute to the Federation, in addition to two other members, which we will announce in August meeting 2019. So we have managed to invite 4 different members, and they will be shared with NMOs in the update, which is requested on the first day of August meeting. The alumni and the Board of Recommendation were communicated regularly throughout the term with updates and with asking them with the consultations for the alumni engagement and so on. And of course, they were invited for the attending IFMSA General Assemblies. And the next topic we're going to speak about is restructuring IFMSA GAs, which is one of the initiatives that the team of officials this year has worked on in order to make sure that our General Assemblies use the state-of-art methods and are not just only in the same regular way that are held each year. And we try to introduce new things that bring the potential of IFMSA members' abilities. This process has started since the beginning of the term and has continued after we implemented the first steps in March meeting. So after March meeting, we held an internal evaluation process to evaluate the new events and the changes that were added to IFMSA, to the General Assembly agenda in March meeting. We used this input process and we held a consultation process in Tom 5 to decide whether these changes should be incorporated again in August meeting or if there are any needed new changes. And for August meeting, the changes which will still go on is IFMSA French, Global Priority Side Events, the Code of Conduct Committee, the breaks and the socials, the training sessions, and so on. But we are introducing new two events as well, which is Step Up Your External Presentation that Marian, that Michael will speak to you in the external presentation part, and IFMSA Games, which has been announced in the server, and it's being coordinated by the Regional Director for EMR, and we hope that you sign up for it. It's a new initiative to make our GAs as well fun and to connect more our members. This is one of the slides that shows the internal consultation that were held inside the team of officials and the ideas that came forward. We will also carry a consultation with NMO presidents during August meeting, so we can gather more idea of how we can shape up our GAs and change them in a way that wouldn't affect the purpose of the GA, but as well make sure to bring out the best interest of our members. And this consultation will be held in the president's session, and we will discuss what needed changes are there for the upcoming General Assemblies. We can now move to programs and activities with Nibosha, our Vice President for Activities. And
hello, everyone. So when it comes to programs and activities, since March meeting, the main focus was on the administrative parts of the programs, because I noticed a lot in the previous period that administration regarding programs could be improved a lot, and by doing so we can also improve the work we're doing with our members. So I worked on the program's annual reports, which were shared on July 1st, and they follow now they are streamlined, and they follow now the data requested by LOs, having specific statistical data as well as including some suggested activities from enrolled activities. And in the future, the program's annual report should include also IFMSA activities, SDGs and lower priorities, and better reflect on them, but I was not able to include that in a template this year. Also, in the same time, I worked on unifying the report form, which was split between all different programs, and as VPA, I didn't have any overview of what was being reported and what was not. So that's why in the beginning of the term, we agreed that we were going to unify the report form, and now I have a full overview of what's being there, and also same as enrollment form, it's easier for members to report their activities. The report form is going to be connected to the activities database so that our members don't need to repeat the information they already wrote in the enrollment form. And this is specifically something that I've been working on with VPA Elect on the administrative aspects, because I believe that it's important that both of us are working on the changes related to programs at this point, because of how term in the program sees between 16th of June and 15th of June, unlike the officials' term from 1st of October to 30th of September. We worked on enrollment and reporting, and we're trying to make it as user-friendly as possible, and this should be done either shortly before August meeting or after August meeting, and it should be continued in the next term as well. We're going to be working on the monthly programs report so that the data is not regarding PC's work specifically, but it includes work done in the programs overall and the information in the programs. So that is included in the program's annual impact report, so that it can regularly be used in external meetings, as well as show NMOs the exact numbers related to programs, like the number of enrolled activities enter NMO, which ones they are, and whether or not they are reported, and so on. We are also consulting on updating several documents, and VP Elect is taking the lead on creating a few more for her term. We do have also one PC that resigned, and I'm going to discuss with my program support assistant and the EB on how to handle this. Most likely we will not be opening another call. Rex Crossley Awards evaluation is done, and the results will be announced today for the August meeting. Regarding the, can you change the slide? Regarding the next steps for the programs, we are going to create a system to make it easier for you to identify which program to enroll to, kind of like a Q&A for the enrollment. Our activities database is being updated, as Jose mentioned, and I'm working with VP Elect on some other specific topics, like the competency model for PCs, updating creating documents, identifying some key points that we'll be working on in the programs, and working out on the timeline for her term. And as well, we're working still on the program priorities and programs alignment as per the strategy. Can you go to the next one?
Okay.
Yeah, so the second big part.
Yeah.
Second big part of the VPA work regarding the secretariat. So you're going to be receiving an annual report on the work done in the Secretariat, not only to get you fully updated, but also to keep this in the archives so that we know what was done in the Secretariat during this term. When the updates are in the EBMs, and the last one is in the EBM 29, which was during our Tom 4 meeting. But the most major updates are that the registration is completed now and partially completed, and the final step will be done after August meeting when we hopefully have constitution changes completed. The bank, we can't do anything about currently because we're not fully registered. And once we do, then we can continue conversations with the bank in Denmark. And we can still remain with the bank in Netherlands, even though we won't be registered there. We established a contact with a law firm in Denmark, and we also got contact with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs during my last visit to Denmark. We established a satisfactory working environment with the IFMSA secretary, and she's very satisfied with the work that was done so far. And in June, we had a meeting between IFMSA secretary, myself, and VP-elect, and also between IMCC chairperson, IFMSA secretary, and EB-elect. This was all done in an effort to continue the good working practice that we had during this term and have further updates for the next term. Next slide. And regarding the future plans for the Secretariat, after August meeting, we will register in Netherlands and register in Denmark if the changes are implemented. We're going to have a bank in Denmark, and we're working on having an accounting firm there that will possibly take over the accounting for the next term. And we are going to create a concrete development plan for the term 1920 with the IFMSA Secretary and VP-elect. And as per the strategy, we might have interns at the end of this term or the beginning of the next one. And the rest of the VPA updates regarding other tasks, you can read in the report.
Thank you, Nibosha. And now we move to IFMSA global priorities and the updates about the work that has been done so far in this area. So in March meeting 2019, we have produced the half-annual report, which showed all the activities done so far in each global priority within each committee, externally and internally, and as well an evaluation of which goals and indicators and actions have been achieved so far. We have been carrying out the same process of regular evaluations for the global priorities in our team of officials meetings, and we have as well produced the annual report of IFMSA global priorities, which has been submitted by the 1st of July deadline, and you already have access to it, which outlines all the work that has been done so far from the beginning of the year, all the activities, external meetings related to each global priority internally and externally. But at the same time, we shared an internal sheet that we use to follow up on the indicators of each action of these global priorities, so you can access it and understand more the level of completion of each one of them. Furthermore, we have focused on having capacity building related to global priorities. We had one workshop in the Americas regional meeting about global priorities, and we had multiple workshops for global health advocates, which relates to the external part that Michael will also tell you later on in relation to the global priorities. We have tried to spread awareness to IFMSA members about the importance of these areas and why we have selected them by engaging them with actual real-life scenarios and discussions that happens on a global level in these topics. And that's why we have organized the Global Priorities Side events, which is a new event that was introduced in March meeting, and we are carrying the same one in August meeting. So make sure to register once the registration link is sent, because we had so many requests last time and we were not able to accommodate all delegates. We as well ensure that we are integrating the global priorities to IFMSA bylaws, and they are now part of our bylaws after the bylaws have been adopted in March meeting. And as I said, the evaluation processes. Can you move the next slide? So as you can see, this is one of our internal evaluation sheets that we use to monitor the actions and goals and indicators of each of the global priorities. Can you move, Michael? So the next process, or the main actions we have taken since March meeting until August meeting, was in addition to the evaluation and the report that we have submitted for this year's global priorities, we have carried an extensive process to propose the next global priorities for the term 2019-2020. This process was composed of 5 major steps, as mentioned, or as you can see in the slide. The first one was deciding on the topics of the global priorities internally, and then drafting their description of these topics, sharing this description discussion with NMOs, but before that we also discussed it in Tom 5, and we voted on which ones will go as focus areas and which ones will go as overarching concepts. And one of the major changes, for example, we switched social accountability from a focus area into an overarching concept, so everyone in the Federation will be working under it. In addition, we shared the initial proposal with NMOs, and then we shared a joint call for input with all IFMSA members in all different standing committees, so we can collect from them data that would help us to share to shape the goals and indicators of each global priorities. And we have disseminated this call for input widely, and we use it to base on it our goals and actions. And then we drafted the final proposal, which contains a description for the global priority, at least 3 internal goals, at least 3 external goals with an indicator for each one of them. And we have shared this with NMOs. We have received a lot of input, and we are very thankful for all the NMOs who raised their input, because it helped us shape the final proposal that was submitted and will be voted on during August meeting 2019. You can switch, Michael. So this is a brief description of the global priorities that we are proposing for the upcoming year. As I said, we have 4 overarching concepts this time: universal health coverage, meaningful youth participation, global health, education, and social accountability. And that's the proposal that was submitted earlier. You can move. So now we move to finances with the Vice President for Finances, Ahmed.
Yes, you can hear me now. Okay. Hi, everyone. So for the finances, first of all, for the GA, we still have missing reports which weren't submitted. We have the report for August meeting in Tanzania, it's still missing, and August meeting in Quebec. Both reports weren't submitted. We also don't have the report for don't have the report for 16-17 and 17-18. What I'm doing at the moment is following up with our accounting firm, MTH, to try to get the reports as soon as possible. We're hoping to have them ready in June. However, that wasn't possible. And then now we're trying to work hard to make sure they can come out in July and to be adopted in March meeting next year. The quarter 3 report was shared with NMOs on the 8th of July. You can check it on the NMO server, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to approach me. Everything is fine, is going according to budget, nothing extraordinary is happening. For the weekly budget reporting, we also have that in all our EB meetings. So in case you also check the EB minutes, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to approach me. We're having a pre-August meeting, 2019 financial management workshop, financial management administration workshop in Taiwan, facilitated by one of my fundraising team and another program coordinator for healthy lifestyles. And then we have, currently I'm working with all the TAF recipients to make sure they all have their visas, they have their flights booked on time so that they can attend the GA. The selection of the TAF has already happened, people were announced, we're just following up with them to make sure everything is fine and everything is ready for them to be able to attend the GA. For the financial committee for the GA, they won't have a lot of work this time since, as I said, there's a lot of missing reports. So the reports they were supposed to be reviewing weren't submitted for reviewing. So yeah, the financial committee, there was the last core for the financial committee, which had just closed recently, and the announcement will be out very soon. For the membership fees invoices, they were shared back on the 10th of June, and the deadline for payment was the 15th of July. I have been following up with NMOs, answering all their questions, making sure that tracking all the payments to make sure that NMOs the internal balance for every NMO is updated as soon as the money is received. Just to recap on a few things, as mentioned earlier, through the NMO email that was sent on the NMO server, I've shared the list of NMOs who will be eligible to pay in cash. I also shared the list of NMOs who are at risk of suspension or losing their membership unless a payment plan is agreed with the EB. In the email, you will also find the instructions. Simply, it's a form that you have to fill and submit it to the EB no later than the 26th of July, so the EB can discuss it on the 28th in our face-to-face EB meeting and decide on all payment plans by then. If you fail to submit it by the 26th, well, there isn't you can still submit it, but the EB may not be able to discuss your payment plan before the second plenary. Therefore, make sure that you submit your payment plan by the 26th of July. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to approach me or the RD or any of the RDs or the VPN. As also mentioned earlier, some of the issues we're currently having, which is like animals money which isn't received yet. We will be waiting for this amount to the 26th to make sure that we receive the money. Also, animals who paid at the deadline, waiting for the subco to interpret that part. And finally, there are still some unreported transactions. So please approach me as soon as possible. Some animals are approaching me, others are not. We have been working on the budget proposal for 2019-2020. The budget proposal have been sent to subco and officials for inputs and to incorporate other inputs before being submitted to the animal server. So the budget was also shared on the 8th of July. In case you have any questions about the budget proposal, don't hesitate to approach me. I've already been approached by an animal. So if anyone else have any questions, preferably to approach me before the GA, just in case there are any amendments, so that we can actually incorporate them as soon as possible. Former officials' debts, we have been working with the AB 1415 to try to calculate the officials' debts of the term 1415. Unfortunately, we were trying to do our best, but since the people have other obligations after they finish their IFMSA life, it was a bit hard to finish by June as I previously was expecting. So hopefully we'll be working on that. However, I've also recommended in my report that a task force can be open to work on that, along with the 15-16 officials' debts. Finally, for the sponsorships, with Jose, we have submitted a few sponsorships for adoption at the GA. So make sure that you view them and you know everything. Finally, we've been working with Jose again on the donations database and the fundraising database. We have, Jose have done all the technical part. I've also assisted him getting the grants and so on. Hopefully, we'll have this launched as soon as possible, hopefully before the August meeting. Thank you.
So, hello everyone, also from my side, and to the update regarding capacity building, we have a few slides to go through. Firstly, I would like to start with the general part, which is, as already previously mentioned by Jose, that we have 2 online platforms in the process or already implemented, but still need some work, which is the online training platform, which is a Moodle-based platform, which will help IFMSA in the future to also have knowledge in everything and also workshops held online, or at least be able to go through documents, content, and so on, everything related to our work that we do in IFMSA. But also currently we are working on a trainer platform, which will help trainers in IFMSA to have profiles there. So also you as organizing committee, as NMOs, you can also go through and look for trainers if you're in need of some, but also in the progress, and we will have updates for you as soon as possible. Another big part, of course, was the small working group as a follow-up from the March meeting implementation of the new capacity building IOGs. I will talk about the small working group in a minute in a separate slide. We also had the facilitation methods small working group, which was a big success so far. We have a huge booklet right now with a lot of different topics regarding facilitation and everything related to training and basic training workshops, which will be shared as a whole on the server. And of course, also very important, and I would like to mention it at this point separately, is that we're working on as Capacity Building International team on a proper handover manual also for the whole Capacity Building International team, because this is something which was not really existing in a comprehensive way so far, to ensure that future teams can start working where previous terms ended, and that certain procedures and organizational parts are going smoother. So please go to the next slide. Giving just a very brief overview about the sub-regional trainings, which we have until August meeting, which will have around 50 sub-regional trainings happening in all 5 different regions, which means that we have 4 to 5 sub-regional trainings actually every month happening within IFMSA, which is a very good number and a very good way of showing that knowledge is spread all around. Also very important, we agreed on a new internal certification procedure, which means that we would like to improve our process internally to have information and also from certain sub-regional trainings in order to speed up the process from delivering certifications. Of course, as this is something that actually is a big change which involves a lot of different parties within the federation, it takes some time to fully come to fruition that we use it that way, but especially with Nebosha, we are working hard on finalizing all the different certificates, collecting all the information that is missing certificates, be able to share it with you as soon as possible. Next slide, please. Coming back to the capacity building IOGs, as said, we have 5 different subgroups formed right after the March meeting. 3 of them already have quite some outcomes. The updates will be sent in the next 1 or 2 days to the server with all different updates regarding the work of the subgroups of the small working group. The most important ones, which you already have seen probably, the outcomes are the ones working on the capacity, on the constitution and bylaw changes regarding capacity building, because as for now we don't have capacity building concretely mentioned in the bylaws, but those bylaws have been shared within the deadline, of course, 1st of July, so you can already have a look at them. But also very important, the subgroup worked really hard to improve the reporting process of sub-regional trainings, because this is also something that not really helps to create numbers and actually measure impact of different trainings and workshops. So this is something that will be presented also during the August meeting in the capacity building plenary to let you know what the work so far has been and if there's any updates and so on, and also input from your side. And of course also the subgroup on the workshop alignment and coming closer that we have a common idea of how trainer education should happen within IFMSA, but also as a whole with all over the different standing committees. So the subgroup also had quite a lot of contact with all the international teams, but you will be able to read more details about these procedures and all the different inputs on the update. Next slide. So coming to August meeting 19, as I just mentioned, we will for the first time have the capacity building plenary. What is the capacity building plenary? It's basically that we need to ensure that, similar to standing committee plenaries, which are happening in the standing committee sessions and are a place for NMOs and for the standing committees to change their own IOGs and everything, is implemented and tried out also within capacity building. So the invitation for the capacity building plenary will also be shared until tomorrow. So every NMO has the chance to attend and send someone, even if you don't have the training representative of your NMO, but at least one representative for NMO if possible. So we will be able to discuss so far how everything went with the new IOGs, what are your changes that you would like to propose, if there's anything you would like to change, or any other feedback that you would like to share. But the invitation will go to the server as soon as possible. Important, of course, we also have an NMO management session. Not much to add here. The people that are attending these sessions are in the loop of the preparations. Then, of course, again, we will have training sessions and joint sessions. We are working right now on the joint calls for all of your participants or all of your delegations to attend those different sessions. We have joint sessions, training sessions. Michael will tell very soon about step up your external representation. So we really try to see capacity building also as a tool to support every different area we are working in. Just checking on the slide. So there's a lot to come also for the August meeting 19. Really looking forward, as said, to sum up the summary and the updates for the small working group of CBIOG's implementation will be shared, and as well the invitation for the capacity building plenary, which is for now the most important things that you need to be aware of for August meeting. And I think we can go to the next slide with Michael.
Thank you very much, Georg. So these are a few slides regarding the IFMSA's external representation efforts, and I would like to start with this picture from the World Health Assembly. And the biggest news after the March meeting was that we finally got our last member to our LOS team, our new LRA. And basically, the period from the March meeting until the August meeting was full of very important external meetings, including the World Health Assembly and many others in New York, Geneva, and other cities. So we can go to the next slide. I'll try to tell you at least a bit about the most important activities we've done in this period. So the major outcome of this term is the SDGs report, which we wanted to do for such a long time. And finally, thanks to the amazing task force on the United Nations, we have produced the report on the IFMSA's and its national member organizations' contributions to the Sustainable Development Goals. And I believe that this report showed us a lot about IFMSA's work, about the work of NMOs, and how do we need to improve our work for the future when we want to get closer to the biggest international players in terms of following and implementing the Sustainable Development Goals. Right now, we are also working on the campaign, again, coordinated by the United Nations Task Force on the SDGs, and you are just seeing the new infographics going out from IFMSA's Facebook group. We can go to the next slide. So regarding the external meetings, we had 69 meetings attended so far. 52 of them are already reported and shared with the NMOs in the external representation folders. We have reports until the end of May shared with NMOs. We are still missing some because of some complications with the outcomes, but you will get them all in the end. We have adjusted the reporting system a bit at the beginning of the term to enable to track global priorities and some things we want to get from this term. So the next VP and the team of liaison officers and program coordinators will be able to better utilize this reporting system for some effects for the external representation. We also started planning meetings for the next term because, as you may know, the meetings are coming already at the beginning of October and November. So I was working with the VP-elect to plan some attendance of the VP-elect and the next LOs to these meetings. Next slide, we can go. So this is the picture from the reports from the March meeting about which global priorities did the meetings we are attending related to, and you can see that the universal health coverage was the highest, and also NCDs and global health workforce. We can go to the next slide. Next slide, please. And this is the August meeting report. So you can see that it didn't change too much. So we still have the universal health coverage, NCDs, and the global health workforce. But it clearly shows that in some of these areas, we need to step up a bit when it comes to attendance to external meetings, because some of them are attended heavily and some of them we are lacking a bit when it comes to our work in these areas. We can go to the next slide. So Nebojsa was already talking about the program coordinators and the need to reform the way how PCs and programs collect data for the external usage. And we can see here that only in 7 of the external meetings we have actually used data produced by the programs, although we are working on this since the beginning of the term, and we had the conversation with the VPA and the program coordinators, but there is still a need to adjust the reporting and the design architecture of the program so we can deem it useful for our external presence. Also, what came out of the report on SDGs is that it's crucially important for IFMSAs to focus more on the implementation of SDGs and its specific targets. So as Nebojsa said, for the next term, it would be really great if we can open up a conversation about how to include the SDGs, the targets, the indicators into the work of IFMSA and NMO, so we can then report on the achievements and the work we are doing to achieve these targets and indicators. So this needs to be much more concrete so we can use it also in the international level, because this is what the international sector needs and wants, and this can also give IFMSA some of the leverage. We can go to the next slide. So regarding IFMSA policy processes, since the beginning of the term, we are monitoring its usage through external meeting reports, submissions, press releases. We are using them for our publications and articles. For the August meeting 2019 policy process, we have 13 policy proposals. It was 14 before, but we sadly had to withdraw one of the TO proposed policy document on migrants' health. We are currently working on the policy reviewing committee report with the Commission, and this report will be shared at least one day before the GA for bylaws. And what is very important is that there will not be a policy documents discussion during August meeting 2019. Because we saw from the previous GAs that rarely these discussions were focused on the most important thing we wanted to get out of these discussions, which are the debates about the implementation and what can NMOs and medical students on a national and local levels do to help IFMSA implement these policies. So we won't be holding policy documents discussions, and instead I will introduce you the concept we came out with for this GA. We also had, based on the mandate we've received as the Executive Board during March meeting, we had a small working group on IFMSA policy processes working till the 1st of June, and they already shared the report on the NMO server, and the major outcome of this report was that the processes are not a problem for the NMOs, but mostly the awareness and the ability of NMOs and members to stick to the timeline, to stick to the processes and actually being informed about them. So we will focus more on raising awareness and training our members on policy processes so we can get the structure working properly. Next slide. Again, as for the March meeting, I have this special part about external representation and hidden contribution to IFMSA's finances. We can go to the next slide. So since March meeting, since the beginning of the term, I was collecting the hidden contributions, our liaison officers, regional directors, and basically everyone who is working in the extract area about how much money did we bring to the federation, which is not visible in forms of covered fees, discounts, support of delegates, funded flights or funded fees. And up till now, up till 21st of July, we have gathered more than 24,000 euros, which are not included in IFMSA's budget. These are just these benefits our LOs, thanks to their hard work, collected for IFMSA. And this does not include grants or official amounts of money which came to IFMSA's budget. And this is still with the official budget of only 14,000 euros for LOs, VPs, RDs, and basically everyone who is working in the extract in IFMSA's team of officials. We can go to the next slide. So for the August meeting 2019 and forward, we have a brand new session, which is called Step Up Your External Representation. These are 7 trainings on several topics of the external work we do. And we'll be sending a registration form soon. And this is exactly based on the small working group on policy processes and all the feedbacks we've received that there is lack of awareness and lack of knowledge of external representation. So we are trying to somehow introduce this for our members at this event. Of course, we'll have a team event with a lot of local and international speakers for the August meeting. We will have 3 MOUs proposals and policies, which can be debated during the president sessions, but in the new Q&A session form, which Fabricio already mentioned. We'll also have the external representation updates, but this discussion won't be used for the presentation of updates as we used to do before, but we will rather discuss the plans for the future, as it's, for example, the plan to have the international team on external representation, which we already shared with NMOs to NMO server, and we would like to discuss this in person with you. We also planned a manual on WHO and interactions with NMOs on the national level. It will also include some of the external work on the national level and its specifics. We will also continue with the SDGs campaign and the efforts in this area. And we will also start the handover with the new LOs, which are coming. So also one of the things which Jose mentioned during this term, we really focused on improving the presence of IFMSA's external representation in our social media. And you can see that there are really high rates of increased users or increased follower in our Instagram accounts and Twitter accounts. And this is why, because for every single external meeting, we had a specific social media strategy. And this will be also one of the sessions at Step Up Your Extract training, how to use social media in external representation. So I think this is the last slide, but can you check? Yes, and you will find anything else in my reports, and I'm here for any questions.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Michael. And now we move to the alignment of strategies with Fabrizio. And I will continue the slide share, Jose.
Okay, I need to see my slides.
Just a second.
Yeah, so basically, just quickly starting, we have had an initiative since the beginning of the term that was discussed with the EB in our time as EB elect, which was to sort of start aligning the IFMSA general strategy with the internal strategies that we have in the federation, which are the regional and the standing committees strategies for now. So what we've observed was the fact that we have many internal structures working on something that, of course, gives benefits to the federation, but not necessarily aligned with the general strategy, which is the main goal that where the main goals of the federation are. So we sort of wanted to start a process to start aligning this. So we'll make sure that standing committees and regional strategies are in line and based on our IFMSA general strategy, and also giving IFMSA a proper time for assessing our general and internal strategies, plus a creation process for a new one with proper consultations and so on. So we have had discussions with EB elect, as I said, in our EB elect meeting, where the EB elect, now EB, agreed with the idea of proceeding with this. And then we had this first discussion for presentation of the idea to officials in Tom 1. After that, we presented the outcome to NMO presidents and gathered input from them in the March meeting president sessions. We had the final meeting with final discussion with the officials for more concrete outcomes in Tom 4. And well, the general idea is to align IFMSA strategy and have one gap year to do this evaluation and creation process, as I mentioned. And then during the first year of the IFMSA strategy will be the gap year for the internal strategies of IFMSA, which are regions and standing committees, which means they will create the strategy based on the general one or the IFMSA general strategy. So they will be aligned. And yesterday, I sent an email to the NMO server, so you could see the outcome of the 3 small working groups that we work with in Tom 4. And this will also be discussed during president sessions and regional sessions as well, because the final outcome of formalizing the documents are going to be taking place in August meeting. So in this slide, you can see how the current how the current system is. So we have IFMSA strategy, like the current one, which is 2017-20, and right after we should create the new one if we proceed with the way that IFMSA have been working till now. And then parallelly to that, we have standing committees strategies, regional strategies, and that are happening and that should like contribute to IFMSA strategy, but they have a different timeline and different outcomes that not necessarily go in line with the IFMSA general strategy. So the outcome of this process, and that is going to be finally discussed and hopefully passed in August meeting, will be what is in the next slide. Batul?
Yes.
Yeah, which is this one. After the current strategy period, we will have a gap year. And in this gap year, like we will take all this time to just align all the strategies. We're going to adopt annexes to these strategies. So if you are wondering what will happen with the strategies that are finishing this year, what are they going to do until 2020-2025, where we plan to have all the strategies of standing committees and regions realign. We already discussed, and this is also included in the email I sent yesterday to the NMO server. We will be adopting annexes until March meeting of next term, so we can work in an extended version for standing committees and regional strategies. So our internal strategies and our internal main work goals will keep going until we reach this alignment, and the idea is to officialize this way for the upcoming terms as well. So IFMSA keep working in an organized way when it comes to strategy making and strategic planning processes. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'll stop the slide sharing. So now we move to the questions part on the live chat, and if you have any questions, feel free to please ask it right now. I know that there are some questions that have been asked and they were answered, but we will go over them fast. Just to make sure that we answer everything, and for those who are watching and not able to type, they would hear the answers as well. So the first question was, will Rick's Crossley Awards results be announced to all NMO presidents? And yes, Nibosha?
Yes, I'll announce the final results tonight.
Okay. And the second question was, can we know somewhat about the certification process, Nibosha?
So Gary gave somewhat of an explanation in the chat. Gary, can you just say it?
So basically, the certification process I was talking about, I hope you can hear me. I changed the device, but it's an internal procedure between the different international teams, capacity building international teams, standing committee international teams, but also the VPA. Basically to try to make the process more efficient. So in the end, there's nothing that really changes for NMOs. Hopefully the only thing that changes is that once the process is fully in place, that you will receive your certificate faster.
Okay. And the third question is, the third question is, the external representation includes the sponsorships as much as the UN that we will be approving this August meeting?
So I'm not sure if I understood the question clearly, but I can tell you what are the topics of these external representation sessions at the August meetings. So we'll have sessions.
Yep. Michael, to cut you because the person wrote again the question correctly. So she meant that external representation budget that was presented included sponsorships that we will be approving this August meeting, or without them?
Well, no, we are not approving the external representations budget with these sponsorships. Like what I've mentioned are just the things. Those 24,000 euros are the amount of money which liaison officers, regional directors, and anyone who was working with external partners managed to bring to the federation in the form of reduced fees or covered trips, or such benefits which are not included in the budget, because we do, when we present the budget for the adoption during the GA, we only reallocate the sums which are coming to IFMSA's budget overall, and then we redistribute this budget to, for example, coverage of internal meetings, external meetings, money which is going to the travel assistance funds, and so on and so on. But the amount of money which liaison officers and RDs and anyone gathers throughout the term through their activities is not included in these 14,000 euros, which was allocated to the external representations at the beginning of the term. I hope I answered your question, and if not, can you send a further clarification?
Adopted, when will the results be published? And a follow-up question on that particularly, and how do you have plans how to handle the pilot change proposal on the medical students without the results of the task force? So the task force has shared their report with the 1st of July, and they are continuing collecting the data through the surveys. They were not able to share the results because they were not able to collect enough results till the 1st of July, although they promoted the surveys a lot, and we need to make sure that there is a good representativity of people filling the survey from different NMOs, places, and externals, so they could be reflected and would help us to guide our decision as well. So these results will be shared as soon as they are finalized. The task force will be updating NMO with them. The task force is an independent body, so we do not interfere with their work as an EB. So they are the ones who are able to answer when they will be shared exactly. They have an email which was used on the server, so you can approach them. But we do. But they are independent. We do not interfere with their plans, specific plans, and so on. Regarding the pilot change proposal, this is a question for NMOs. Again, as EB, we do not interfere with the pilot change proposals related to task forces. These are discussions that are held in August meeting, and NMOs can decide how to proceed forward according to the discussions they hold in the NMO president. So this will be determined in August meeting and voted upon as any other bylaw as well. Yeah, thank you for the greetings. And do we have any other questions? Okay, great. So we are going to end the webinar because we reached one. Okay, thank you. Thank you all for the ones who attended, and we're looking forward to see you in Taiwan. And this is our second and last webinar. But always we will all in Taiwan, so we look forward to see you. If you have any questions, feel free to approach us at eb@ifmsa.org, or any individual EB member you feel comfortable or more relevant to their work area. We look forward to see you in a few days, and we hope that you will be prepared there and we will have fruitful discussions. And see you soon. And bye. Bye. You can say bye, guys, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.